Welcome to the Game Plan with Hunter Hughes. West Texas A&M is off of its first road trip of the 2017 season. Last Saturday, the Buffaloes traveled to Stephenville, took on Tarleton State, and the Buffs fought hard but fell short in that game, losing 30-20 to the Texans. So with that loss, WT now on the season sits at 2-2 overall and 1-1 in Lone Star Conference play. And speaking of Lone Star Conference, let's look at the Lone Star Conference standings as of 4 games into the season. Right now at the top, there's a 3-way tie. Texas A&M Commerce, Tarleton State, and Midwestern State all still without a loss. Eastern New Mexico coming in 4th place at 2-1, followed by the Buffs at 1-1. And then at the bottom, rounding out UT Permian Basin, Angelo State, Kingsville, and Western New Mexico. So we go from one rival to another as West Texas A&M will take on Eastern New Mexico this Saturday at Kimbrough Stadium, 6 o'clock start. And let's welcome in, it's for the 30th, I should say, the 30th meeting in the Wagon Wheel series. And let's welcome in now head coach Hunter.
Thank you, Lucas. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's Wagon Wheel week, and so there's a lot of good things coming with that. But first of all, let's talk about last Saturday's game, Coach. A strange game, you know, and I don't want you to feel too bad. I wanted to throw this in there. I am now as a broadcaster 0-3 in Stephenville. So I think the next time that we make the trip to Tarleton, they might leave me at home.
We'll leave you at home.
Okay, so that might happen because last season we lost a couple games there in basketball. But it was a strange game, Coach, in that we lose 30-20 at one point in the ball game in the third quarter. It's 27-0. But I want to go back to the first quarter because as the first quarter ended, it was scoreless. And I looked down at the stats, and the Buffs had nearly 11 minutes of time of possession, had almost 90 yards more than Tarleton did. Things looked really good, just couldn't get the ball in the end zone. And then in the second quarter, we missed opportunities with missed field goals. Tarleton got their running game going, and the rest is history. You've had a couple of days to digest that loss. Your thoughts?
Oh, we didn't finish. We were in a position to go in and score a touchdown and go up 7-0, and we don't take advantage of that, and we go right to kicking the field goal, and it goes off the right upright. And so, you know, we're down there. It was a 17-play drive, and we get no points. And like I said, we were controlling the game at that point. And we get to, they get the ball after the missed field goal, and we can't stop them. And we miss a total of about 30 tackles in the game, and that helped them. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Tarleton, but. Yeah. But we sure helped them enough to let them get out there and get that lead. And, you know, down 27-0, we kept fighting. Yep. We didn't stop. And we got some momentum. We got some things going. You know, I tried to get some points on the board with a 56-yard field goal. Alex has the leg to do it, and he was just about a foot off to the left. And we're going to keep doing that. We got to get points every chance we get. And I think we got a weapon in Alex. And he had a bad night, but he'll rebound from it.
You mentioned the comeback, you know, in the third quarter, at the 6:16 mark of the third quarter. You go on from that. The Buffs actually outscored Tarleton 20-3 to end that game. And one thing that I thought was impressive was the passing game. You had mentioned that teams are going to stack the box to try to stop the run. Well, Justin Hotling had his best performance of the season so far. He threw for 272 passing yards, got a lot of receivers involved. There was 8 different guys that caught a pass. And then Markel Stewart-Gillespie, he was our player of the game, 6 catches, over 130 yards. So your thoughts overall on the passing game Saturday, which was the best that I felt it had been all season?
Well, I was happy to see Justin come in and start again and take over and really start to take control of this offense. And I think he established himself a little better this week, you know, being out with his injury. But
he looked a lot more confident.
He did, and I think he really felt like, you know, was a burden off his shoulders that, you know, we knew as soon as he came back he was going to be our quarterback, and he didn't have to worry about that. And Markel, he struggled in the first game. He didn't even address the second game. He had some mental issues with being on certain special teams that he didn't report to and report on when he should have, and so we sat him down and he's learned from that. And I think that's part of what we're doing here with our culture is to hold guys accountable, and if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, you know, we don't have a place for them. Yeah. So he learned from it, came out and did a lot of good things, and as you can see, he is a weapon, and we'll use him. Now we've got a guy that we can split out or we can put inside, and guys have to pay attention to.
Yeah. Well, the road trip was unkind to West Texas A&M. Didn't get the result that we wanted to in the loss. But there was a bright spot, at least for myself, and that was the traditional stop in Stephenville at one of the great barbecue places that they have. So because of that, Coach, wanted to bring in, have some fun with you and talk about some food that, what better way to get to learn a guy and new head coach than let's talk about what kinds of foods that you
I know a little bit about food.
Okay, so let's go with some fun questions here. First question, because I had a big old steak at the barbecue place. How do you like your steak cooked?
Medium rare.
Medium rare, okay. Second question, this might be the toughest question that Coach Hughes has asked all year, so you ready for this? I'm a breakfast guy, so we're going to go out with the breakfast question. Waffles or pancakes?
Waffles.
Okay, no hesitation there.
No doubt.
Waffles, that's also my favorite. Third question, are you a ketchup guy or a mustard guy?
Ketchup.
Ketchup, okay. So far, we're in sync here, Coach. Fourth question, in the Texas Panhandle, you've already found this out, a lot of really good Mexican food restaurants. In town, you have Pepitos, lots of places in Canyon and in Amarillo. So what is your Tex-Mex go-to? If you're going to, not a restaurant, but if you're going to sit down and order, what's your meal?
I would say carne asada tacos.
Nice, very good.
Or carne asada burrito.
Okay, are you getting hungry yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Last question for Coach Hughes, as we're having some fun here learning about his menu selections, is there a snack that you have maybe too much that you shouldn't have, but you can't help it because it's so good?
Well, I have a tendency to eat peanut M&Ms a lot, and one of our girls in the office has a thing of peanut M&Ms in different flavors, and I've helped stock that. Brianna has a nice stock there that I tend to stick my hand in the cookie jar and the M&M jar a little too often. So, yeah, peanut M&Ms are probably my number one thing.
Okay, so Coach Hughes loves the peanut M&Ms. There you go. So a recap of Coach Hughes' favorite foods. First of all, his steak. He likes it cooked medium rare. He is a waffles guy over pancakes. Also, Coach Hughes says he's a ketchup guy over mustard. Coach Hughes' favorite Tex-Mex food is going to be carne asada, tacos, and then his snack that he indulges in, maybe a little too often, is the peanut M&Ms. Let's move on and let's talk Wagon Wheel. It's the big game this week. It's Saturday at 6 p.m. out at Kimbrough Memorial Stadium. West Texas A&M hosting Eastern New Mexico. Buffs 2-2, 1-1 in Lone Star Conference play, while Eastern New Mexico sits at 3-1 and 2-1 in the LSC. Eastern New Mexico, you talk about the Greyhounds. Obviously, last Saturday they had a little bit of a weird game in that in Portales they had a lightning delay. Took a while for that game to get going, and they end up beating Angelo State 31-21. They led 28-12 at halftime. Big performance from their running back, their senior Kamal Cass, as he carried the ball 27 times for nearly 200 yards. As a team, they rushed for nearly 300 yards. So, Coach, Eastern New Mexico, a team that going into this season brought back a lot of returners. Their quarterback was Freshman of the Year last year in 2016, Wyatt Strand. Defensively, a couple of first-team All-LSC returners in Brad Harden and also Todd County from the safety position. But just like West Texas A&M, they have a first-year head coach, Kelly Lee. The difference for them, they bring a guy in that has been the offensive coordinator for the last 5 years. So nothing's going to change in terms of the style, the option that they run. When you put the film on and you look at Eastern New Mexico, what do you see?
You get scared because they can do so many things from so many different formations, and the basic stuff they do it extremely well. And then they'll throw in some, I don't want to call them trick plays, but they'll get you going one way and pop a little, not a reverse, but a little inside zone coming back in their formations. And it's an easier transition for Coach Lee over there because they're not changing anything.
Sure.
Here we came in and changed the whole outlook of offense and defense. So still a little bit of adjustment, giving up the yards and the way we tackled last week. It makes me a little more nervous. But
You've got to be extremely disciplined.
We've got to shore that up, and you're right. We've got to be extremely disciplined in what we do, and we tell our guys, don't tackle the ball, tackle your responsibility. So that's what we're doing in practice to make sure, because you never know who's going to have the ball. You never know who's going to be. You think the fullback's got it and the quarterback's keeping and pitching, and the quarterback's got it and the fullback's 20 yards downfield before you know it. So trying to tell our guys, you have to be disciplined on defense, and you have to tackle your responsibility. Sure. And on the other side, on offense, we have to finish. We have to be more physical, and we have to finish down in the red zone.
Yeah, and you also talk about Eastern New Mexico. They're such a ground-oriented team, but they'll throw the football as well. They only threw it 9 times last week against Angelo State, but 2 of those times were for long touchdown passes. Yeah,
they're always open.
yeah, play action, and then they got a guy open downfield. So the Wagon Wheel Series mentioned it. This will be the 30th meeting between these two teams, and it's close. It's very close. West Texas A&M has won 15 of those times, and Eastern New Mexico has won 14 of those times. I got to witness it last year, just how intense the rivalry can be. WT was in Portales, had a 2-touchdown lead at halftime. Second half, Eastern New Mexico erased that lead and ended up winning the game by 8 points. But Coach, your first year being involved in this rivalry, but there's a lot of things that go into it in Portales and in Canyon. The Wagon Wheel obviously being one of those things, and the winning team gets to rush up the hill at Kimbrough at least this Saturday and claim that Wagon Wheel. So, some other things have gone in this week. I think there's a T-shirt that's been made. You might want to talk about that a little bit. But the rivalry, talk about that, Coach.
When you're new at a place, you don't really know the rivalry. You hear about them. Like growing up in the South, I've heard of the Iron Bowl. I've never participated in the Iron Bowl, so I really don't know what exactly.
With Auburn and Alabama.
Yeah, the intensity that goes in there. So we start the Wagon Wheel, and I'll mention Brianna again in the office. She shoots me a text the other day, and it says, "I want the wheel." And that pretty much summed it up right there, that it means a lot. Yeah. And as the week has gone on and it's progressed, it has taken on a lot more meaning to me, and what it means to this community, what it means to this school. And so it's, I'm sure as it goes further and further, going into Saturday, that it'll pick up, and the intensity will pick up. And, our players, there's a little extra fire in their step, this week, and you can tell it means something. So.
Well, and so next question, the keys for getting a win and getting this Wagon Wheel back in the state of Texas where it belongs.
Well, you gotta be disciplined, and on defense especially, and we got to get turnovers. Right? I'll always say turnovers are a huge key to the game, but for us, we got to finish in the red zone, and if we can't finish in the red zone and get touchdowns, then it could be a long night. Sure. But it might not be long. It could be the fastest game in history with the way we run the ball and the way they run the ball. So it could be out of there in about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Be careful if you go to the concession stand, right?
Yeah, exactly. You might miss a quarter.
Yeah. Well, Buff fans, this Saturday, 6 o'clock out at Kimbrough Memorial Stadium. It's WT and Eastern New Mexico in the Wagon Wheel game. That'll be a 6 p.m. kickoff. And we want to mention that the game sponsor this week is Texas Farm Bureau. Members can get in free. Just bring your proof of membership for Texas Farm Bureau. Great deal there. That's going to do it for this week's episode. So we want to thank Coach Hughes for coming in with us. Remember, you can go to GoBuffsGo.com to get your live web stream, your live stats, and your post-game highlights. For head coach Hunter Hughes, I'm Lucas Kinsey. Thanks for watching The Game Plan. We'll see you Saturday out at Kimbrough Stadium for the Wagon Wheel game.